Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's me again. Sorry. Okay, so the afternoon is at, let me just, if you want to look at your calendar and adjust it, your schedule. I'm going to talk about field experience in edTPA from here to about 1:30. And then at 1:30, we're going to have advising with Dr. Ferguson and secondary people. It says, I think, during the advising session, at 1:30, you'll go ahead and go over to CB 104 or whatever it says at the bottom. And except collaborative 612. So it says like art, I don't have it in front of me, but it's in your agenda. So if it says go over to CB 104, then you're going to do that, except if you're collaborative. And then we're going to hear from the Writing Center, which I can't stress enough. Use the Writing Center and the library. And then we will be finished by 2:45. So by then I won't be able to stand on my tiptoes anymore because I'm literally on my tiptoes. Here is me not on my tiptoes. Here's me up on my tiptoes. All right, field experience model. Regardless of what you've heard in the past, why do we change? Why do we adjust? Because in education, we're always trying to improve. Doesn't matter who you are, what level you're at, you're always trying to improve. And the State Department does that too. And so we want to prepare you as best we can through our field experience. Because if you don't have any experience actually being in the classroom, that's just not good. Just not good. We are practitioners, so you've got to practice, right? So I'm going to share with you a little bit about how the field experience model works, starting from this point forward. Okay, so it's 22 days throughout your time at Athens, the 2 or 3 years that you're here. You have to get a total of 22 days. This is a requirement by the State Department for certification. It's connected to 4 different classes. I'll show you what those classes are. And there's a critical assignment each time you're in the class. And if you don't, you want to pass the critical assignment to be successful and to be able to move to the next level. And these critical assignments are in your live text portfolio, like the one you're going to create in ED 301. That's where you'll put those critical assignments. So critical assignment 1, if you're in ED 302, you've already done it. So let's say you've already had ED 302. Would anybody be in here who had already had ED 302? Yeah, okay, yes, there are a couple. You won't be able to do this critical assignment. I don't know what we're going to do about that. That won't be very many people. But you definitely have to have your days. And then critical assignment. So critical assignment 1 is, we call it context for learning. And that's literally where you are looking at the population, the needs of the class, and then you write a commentary about that. So how do I, knowing my class, the needs of my students should impact the lessons you plan. I can't just say, oh, I love to teach astronomy, which I did in 5th grade, one of my favorites, but I can't teach astronomy the whole time. And I've got to know, are my students interested in it? How can I get them interested in it? And do I need to use different level text? So we have to know our students. Context for learning, the cultural context for learning, the social emotional context for learning. So that's in ED 302. And then, so critical assignment 2, if you notice, and you might, I know everyone has a planning guide, but write down where the critical assignment 2 is for your major, just so you know. Just give yourself, you won't remember this, so write it down. So if you're in elementary, or special education or early childhood, it's ER 323. That's going to be your critical assignment 2. Secondary, it'll be SC 331. And physical education will be HPE 322. So now you know where critical assignment 2 is. And I'm going to go from this to edTPA to give you a little bit more insight into what that assignment looks like. So in ED 302, you had 3 days. You might jot this down. In critical assignment 2, you'll have 5 days of field experience. And when you go in to sign up for field experience, like you've already done for ED 302, I think they call it critical area. We're just getting our terminology, in line. So it might be critical area 1, critical area 2. It coincides with the assignment. And then ED 302 is a prerequisite for all of these classes. So sometimes when you try to register for something and you're like, it won't let me register. Well, do you have the prerequisite? Don't y'all like my little picture? I think that's so fun. And then we could just put a whole bunch of hats on. Critical assignment 3 is the next one. And once again, you might jot down where that assignment's going to be. And notice that it has 5 days of field experience. So you have to have taken wherever critical assignment, like ER 323, you have to have taken that before you can take ER 330 or EL 324. So there's prerequisites. So wherever assignment 1 is a prerequisite to 2, and it's all connected with the courses. I'm so proud of our College of Ed because we really planned for a year to put all this in place so that to make it as streamlined and as effective as possible. And I am just proud of the hard work that the elementary department and the secondary department, all of them have, a lot of planning. That's what teachers do, plan. And then critical assignment 4, notice where it is located for your major. And here is where there are 9 days. And in critical assignment 4 also, did they write that? It's a TEP class. So all those requirements she said about getting into the teacher education program, those have to be met before you can take these classes, because these are TEP classes. And those are like your last 3 or 4. It's like you don't need to run out and get into TEP. First of all, you couldn't, because you still have a bunch of stuff you got to do. So it's like your 3rd semester. That's when I start needing to apply for TEP. So if I'm your advisor about 3rd semester, let's talk about TEP. Don't worry about it right now. Okay? And the way this one works is you have 5 days of just anywhere, and then wherever they place you, and then 4 days will be at the school where you're going to do your internship. So if you can manage it where you have EL 484, let's say, in the fall, then you'll be with the same teacher and the same students. So that's kind of cool. If we can, it's just kind of hard to do that with so many, but if you can kind of work with that, I would suggest that. And then internship, like I said, you'll be placed in the same school. And notice early childhood majors will do 1 placement in a pre-K classroom and 1 in a K-3. Also an internship, if you are elementary collaborative, elementary will do half-time in elementary, half-time in a special education classroom. If you're secondary, same placement, elementary, maybe a K-3 and then a 4, 5, 6, you'll have 2 different placements. Physical education, you'll have a lower and a higher, elementary, and then a middle or high school. So we split those internships up so you get a lot of experience. So just, not sure if this would apply to a lot of people in here, but you, let's say you already have 6 days of field experience. You still have to do the field experience that's in the classes, because the field experience is connected to the assignment and preparing you for the portfolio you're going to do when you intern, okay? So it's all really connected. And you know, if you have more, that means great, more experience in the classroom. We have summer programs we encourage you to participate in if you want some extra time. Another thing about EL 484, this one, any of these classes cannot be done in the summer if you're thinking about your plan, because you have to be in a real school setting, not a camp. So you might jot that down. And so we kind of went over that. So the new field experience, I kind of talked about this. It's going to help you be more intentional in your teaching. You'll be more active because each assignment, and I'll talk about what each of those are, you'll have more involvement in what's going on. And you'll have more practice because you're going to teach. You're actually going to teach while you're in there. And so, like I said, just be patient as we get it in place. Now, where did I get all this information? Because I don't have it in here. I only have so much space in my brain. And a lot of it floats out, but at least I know where to go. And I know it's like I was working with an advisee the other day. He said, well, I know it's on the website, but sometimes it's just helpful to talk to somebody. And I totally understand that. All right, so we figured this out earlier. We're going to go to I am a current student. I'm going to scroll down till I see the College of Ed Teacher Education Program. Here's information about field experience. So kind of what I explained to you is what we just went over. So you need to have, be fingerprint TB cleared. We kind of talked about that already. And just keep working on it. And so one of the questions I just got was, well, my TB's coming in. I know the deadline's Monday. My TB test won't be in until that deadline's over. What do I do? Well, get your TB test and then call the field experience office and let them know, and they will get you your placement. You're just going to have to do a little, it's not all through ASU online. You're going to have to talk to the field experience office. So in semester 2, this is where you teach a lesson, you plan a lesson, teach a lesson, and your cooperating teacher assesses your lesson. And it's 3 days. And then in critical assignment 3, you teach and videotape your lesson, and the cooperating teacher assesses it based on our rubric. And then in 4, you teach, plan, teach, video, give feedback, and the cooperating teacher assesses. And I thought we did too. I guess it's kind of, we've got to, in internship, we would be the assessing. Okay, what else should I tell you about field experience? Because John Stevenson is the field experience guy. And let me think, what are common questions people have? Well, under here, once again, this is where you can TB test. Y'all have gone through all this because you're in 301. I mean, by this point, you probably have taken care of all this. And then now we get into edTPA, so I might as well. So we talked about that. I just think it's kind of early to talk about your internship portfolio. We can look at that later, and then your teachers will be telling you about that. I don't want to overload you. Okay, let's kind of talk about when you go into field experience. Okay, maybe y'all can help me. All right, so you submitted an application, right? And you did that in ASU Online. It's the same place you do the ED 302 conference. ASU Online is where you submit applications for internship, everything. Oh, I know a good place I was going to show you. So when you go into field experience, your location, where you've been placed, do you know, and nobody's in here to help me. Well, Debbie is. Dr. Ferguson. Do you contact the school or do they contact you? So you contact the school. So you've applied for it, and I think the deadline is Monday, and then they'll be sending you emails. That's why we want you to use your Athens email, because you'll get stuff from field experience. I know you get a lot, but you should read it or print it out and read it later. Or make a file, I need to read. And it will tell you when you can view your placement. As soon as you can view your placement, then you contact the school and set up your dates. Because maybe for you, every Tuesday works during these 3 weeks. Or maybe you want to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you set that up with the school about when you can come in. And once you've set it up, like we talked about professionalism, make sure you go. They're expecting you. You want to show up. And if you're in 302, definitely your assignment will take 3 days, and you need to do those assignments because you got to talk to the teacher about the survey, got to do your observations, and be helpful. So we're polite, we're helpful, we're proactive, we dress appropriately. So those, just kind of the key things. And you might be a little bit nervous, but this is a way to get your feet wet because critical assignment 2, you'll be teaching a lesson. Now, some of you have taught before or have subbed, but a lot of us have not. It'll be new. So you have to have your verification form signed every day while you're in field experience. Okay? The teacher has to sign it. So you're going to write on the verification form when you went in, when you left, and the teacher signs it. Also, when you go into the school, you need to sign into their visitor handbook. A lot of schools have field experience a notebook for all the field experience students going in, but you're going to sign in. And the verification form, and don't let the teacher say, just go ahead and sign it for me. Because we've had that, and it was obvious that the teacher had not signed it. So you don't want to do that. The teacher needs to sign it with the full signature. Yes, with the full signature. And then you're going to put that in your portfolio again. So you'll go back to this location, field experience, frequently asked question, and that'll show you how to do it. Okay, and you've done all this. So another good spot that I show my students, but now the website's changed, it's called News and Announcements. And it has like charts about when things are due. No events right now. Oh, because definitely that's out. Okay, I'm just not going to go there. If you can find the link. I think it'll be fixed probably by Monday. But there's one called News and Announcements. And that has all the charts and the due dates. And that's kept current by semester. Okay, frequently asked questions don't change that often. But News and Announcements, that's a good one with all the due dates. Okay, so have you already talked to each other about where you're going for field experience? Where did you sign up? Because y'all have been talking today, so I guess I'll go on. Well, just a minute. I don't know if it's possible, but do you have a question about field experience? Because it might be one that someone else has. And if you could just holler it out, use your big teacher voice. No. I don't think so. Oh, for internship, yes. Oh, field experience, see, that's new. Okay, I'll repeat that in case you didn't hear it. If you are a double major, like she's doing, collaborative and art, you'll do 17 days in one major for field experience and 17 days in another major for field experience. Good information. I'm so glad Dr. Ferguson was here. Anything else? See, that was a really good question. That's correct. You don't need to apply. Because now you'll get the 22 days connected with the class. So you're starting out, most simply, most of you are starting out, and it will flow very nicely. But some of my advisees have already had 302 and 323, and how does that work out? And we've been working with them on an individual basis. So if you have a problem or anything like that, definitely talk to your advisor. And I just want to encourage you to reach out to your advisor, introduce yourself, make it very, emails are really important. They convey a lot about you. So, dear Dr. Ferguson, my name is da-da-da, I'm a K6 collaborative. Here's a little bit about me. I like to know that. It helps me remember you. And I just wanted to reach out, and here's a couple of questions I have. All right? So, no, field experience, we have students all over the state, and we will assign you, when you apply, you need to write the 3 schools. I think it's 3 schools that you get to choose, and we'll try to get you into those schools. Now, in placement, because I did coordinate internship for a few years, you can say you want to be there, and we want to put you there, and then the principal doesn't want you there, or the teachers don't want you there. When y'all become a teacher, you say yes to having interns, okay, and help them, and student teachers. Or for internship, that's a little ahead of the game, but you have to be qualified. You have to have a master's degree and 3 years experience. So maybe you pick a school where there's nobody there like that. So you may have to drive 45 minutes to get to the school. We also have diversity codes. I'm so glad you asked that. See, I can't remember everything about it unless you ask me. So you have to meet certain diversity codes to be certified. And so we have to place you in these different schools, like an urban school, a suburban school, a rural school, low socioeconomic, in fact, we have 11 diversity codes that we meet. And so the field experience office is who does those placements. John Stevenson is coordinator. And then Nancy Crooms, who I should have said something about, she set all this up. She is so good, and she keeps us all organized. And you'll talk to her a lot. So, and then we hire adjuncts to supervise, like Miss Van is a supervisor in the Jefferson County area because she lives over there. All right? Good question. Oh, the 4 days. So she said the only time that we are, you have to go to a real specific place is in critical assignment 4, those 4 instructor-led days. 5 instructor-led days. 4 is just, are kind of independent of us being there. Okay. Thinking. What else am I leaving out? No, just put in your choices, and that's, like, it's not instructor-led. There won't be an instructor with you or anything. I haven't seen the student version, so I think when you pick the school, you have to add, the old form, you have to select the system it's in too, but I think you pick schools. Does anybody know, can you answer that question? Ask three than me. Oh, you just pick counties. Boy, Madison County's huge. You could be all the way in, yeah. Okay. I can't hear you. That's a great tip. So when you select the system, there's a comment box. So go into the comment box and say, I would prefer to be at this school. And they'll try to honor that. But once again, we send it out and the system lets us know. The system responds as to where students are placed. We send a list and they say, we'll put this person here or not, okay? So don't get too frustrated, just work with it. Okay, so you might have been hearing about edTPA. And edTPA is an educational teacher portfolio assessment that you do an internship. You're not edTPA in, you don't do this portfolio when you're in your first semester, your second semester. It is when you are in internship. Our critical assignments are what we use to help prepare you. So you've practiced all the components, and then when you get there, you can do it. And plus we have what we call boot camps to help you with it as well. But it's an independent thing. So I just want to go through the portfolio assessment so you really know, and the schools know that we're doing this, and but I just want to give you a background. So it assesses your readiness to teach, and it's developed by Stafford Center for Assessment. And it's supported by lots and lots of organizations. And so the State Department has adopted it as certification. So you'll have practice tests, and then you'll have this. And it's performance-based. It's based on how you do. So there are 696 educator preparation programs in 38 states. And this map kind of shows which ones are full-blown, like using it for certification. So when does it matter for you? We call it being consequential, like you cannot be certified if you don't pass it, and that is fall 2018. And it's not just another test, and it's not anything new, actually, because all the skills that are required in that portfolio, we've been working on, we've always worked on as teachers. It's kind of streamlined it to really assess your performance. Now, if you have heard of National Board Certification, that's something you can do. I think you have to teach like 3 years, and then you apply for it. And you teach lessons, and you videotape yourself, and you give comments, and you get $5,000 extra if you pass it. So y'all keep that in the back of your head. But if you go through this, you're going to know how to do that. It's going to be boom. Y'all are going to be so ready. It won't be anything new learning for you. It's just at a little bit different level. So what is an effective teacher? I'm going to get off that slide. Okay, I've talked too much. My throat's getting sore. This is hard to do with 200 people. What is an effective teacher? So I do want you to table talk. Talk to the people at your table. What is an effective teacher? What makes her effective or him effective? Characteristics of an effective teacher. Did any of your ideas match up with what's on the screen? Take a moment to read that. That's pretty specific, isn't it? So when we look up at the picture, I bet you said cares. I know you said that. And probably thinking about teaching, and probably maybe knowing your content. And we speak about what effective teacher is often in general terms, in generalities, but there are very specific things that make an effective teacher. And I assume that's why you're in the College of Education right now, because you want to be an effective teacher. But there is new learning that needs to occur for you. Not, I've been in school for 20 years and I know all about teaching. Going K through, that's what our legislatures do. Oh, I know all about schooling because I was in school. That's totally different. There's a specific skill. That's called pedagogy. And it's a science of teaching, and there are certain ways to do it. And that's what we're trying to prepare you for, and edTPA will assess that. So engage students in active learning. How exactly do you do that? So maybe that's something you're going to be looking for as you go through the program. How do you create intellectually ambitious tasks? Make a longer test? Got to be something a little bit different. Use a variety of teaching strategies? That one's easy for me. I love teaching strategies. I love looking them up, all kinds of things. Assess student learning. That's a hard one and tends to be a weakness across the United States. So you need to keep your ear tuned for anything related to assessment of kids. Like already, I want you to know there's two kinds. Two kinds. Informal and formal, okay? Formative and summative. You got to know that. And I hope you focus on the informal. Create effective scaffolds and supports. So that is like explicit instruction. I do, we do, group does, you do. Based on Vygotsky's scaffold of learning, you're going to have to be able to talk this talk. I suggest everybody take a little note card. Well, I use note card like on rings, but maybe you can do it, they have it online all different ways. And every time you come across a theory or an important person, you need to put it in that note card and what they did, because you're going to need that later. Just start collecting it. Provide clear standards, constant feedback, and opportunities for revising work. So like the discussion board, when we ask you to respond to each other, that is practice for providing feedback, which should be specific. I say, is it kind, necessary, and true, and specific? And then develop a collaborative classroom. Exactly how do you do that? Just like right now, this is not a collaborative space. Although we are sitting together, it's not really a collaborative space. There's a very specific way to do that. Johnson & Johnson gives you, and not the baby shampoo, the researchers, okay? So that's what an effective teacher is. It's specific and has the skills and the knowledge. So the core of effective teaching, according to edTPA, is planning, instruction, and assessment. And this is the edTPA model that we all follow, and it's very nice. It puts it all together in one. So we talk about things like academic language, which is not just that you can use the academic language, that your students can use the academic language, such as instead of saying 2 + 2 is 4, for a little kid, academically I should say 2 + 2 = 4. You see the difference? Or 2 and 2 is 4. That's not academic language. We want them to say 2 + 2 = 4. 2 - 2 = 0, or whatever. So planning is so important. So you're going to do lesson planning in several of your courses, and then how to use that instruction, and then how to assess not only the students, but looking at yourself and your teaching. Was I effective? Did I meet my objectives? Did the students learn? Always bet, did the students learn? So here's how we prepare you. So critical assignment number 1 is in ED 302, and it's the context for learning, and we've already kind of talked about that. Critical assignment 2, and you wrote down where those courses were, You're going to plan a lesson, and you're going to teach a lesson, and you're going to reflect on that lesson. The term commentary, you're going to hear that a lot because you're going to be writing a commentary. And that lesson, when you teach it, will be assessed by the cooperating teacher. So when you get to critical assignment 3, you're going to plan, teach, and video yourself, and then reflect on it, and it will be assessed. And so you're going to, like, I'm going to video like 3 lessons, and then I'm going to find 3 minutes that are awesome or not awesome. Well, the whole point is that I can reflect on it and say this didn't work or this did work. But you're going to take those 3 to 5 minutes and then write about what happened in the lesson. And that's how national boards works. And then the last one, critical assignment 4. Remember, you can't take any of those in the summer. You're going to plan, teach, and give feedback to the student and videotape all that. I made this slide real quickly while I was sitting over there, and I forgot to put in videotape. But you'll videotape and then reflect. So when you get into internship, and it's time to submit your portfolio, you're going to plan. It's a sequence, like 5 lessons. So you'll plan it, you'll teach it, you'll videotape it, you'll clip out your best pieces, you'll videotape yourself giving feedback to a student, or you can do it with a audio recorder, and how to give feedback to students, and then you'll write a commentary, which we call the reflection. And that will be submitted. That's what it would look like. I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? I've been to a lot of workshops on edTPA. So that's what it's going to look like in internship. 3 to 5 lessons of connected, we call them a sequence, instruction. And then there's the 3 tasks. So plan and assess, instruct and engage, and then assess student learning. That's like the plan, the teach, feedback, reflect. I put it in simple terms. And then you show evidence by like the videotape, the different artifacts, like what you were using in your classroom, the student work, and the commentaries where you're just like talking about and explaining. So that's why like in 302 I'm real exact about your writing, because it has to be exact. If you practice now, by the time you get to internship, it'll go well. And you're graded with a big rubric. Now, who assesses the portfolio? A trained scorer who's a practitioner. Don't you like my funny picture? I found that one. Who is a practitioner. So a trained scorer, like a math teacher, will be grading the math. And it's from all over the United States. Like Dr. Woodruff is a scorer, and she scores early childhood portfolios that might be from, we have no idea where they're from. It might be from California, Oregon, Michigan, we don't know. So it's scored externally from the university, and they're trained by Pearson. Pearson did not create the assessment, Stanford did, but they coordinate the assessments. So you're really it's a really good process. I drank the Kool-Aid. I think it's awesome. And you're going to think deeply about teaching and about your impact on students and about learning. And you're going to synthesize and apply theory and practice. You're going to put it all together. And so we prepare you to do that, like with ANSI training, ARI training, what other? Teaching and Learning Conference. I think early childhood majors do something else in addition. So you'll be well prepared. And I'm excited for y'all to get out into field experience. So once again, basically, it's about planning, instruction, and assessment. That's teaching, isn't it, right? That's the specific part of teaching. And focus on analyzing it, which I call your reflection. That's why I want you to start keeping your theories, because you're going to analyze it based on, well, it worked like this because of Vygotsky's theory of zone of proximal development or something like that. And the use of that academic language. That's like the big thing. Now that seems overwhelming, but remember, you're getting your feet wet in 302, and then you could do a little bit more in 323. This is like elementary, and then you do a little bit more, and so you'll be prepared by the time we get there. So I think you're starting out great, and it's a good time to be a teacher. That's just all I got to say, and it's obvious because we have so many people here today. Job market's good, and all right, any other question? I mean, I don't even know how y'all can even sit, because y'all have had a whole day. This is like big old workshop. So any questions about edTPA? I hope I calmed your fears a little bit, because some people have been anxious about it. Don't be anxious. We got it. We're going to help you. That's what we do. That's what teachers do. And we're going to prepare you to be successful with it, bit by bit. And once again, critical assignments, you must pass each one, because we don't want to put you out there when you haven't achieved the skills you needed.